in plants. In this class, as you can see on the cover, we're going to discuss about very important topic, that is ascent of sap, right? Ascent of sap, and then we'll talk about the transpiration process. So students, remember in the previous class what we did? In the previous session, I was discussing about long distance transport and how water along with the minerals will be absorbed via roots and then will be transported from root xylem to leaf xylem via stem xylem. So that whole discussion was done in the previous session. In case you haven't watched that video, I request you go into the Chak Botany playlist and check out that video. In this session, we will try to understand how water along with the minerals will be transported from root xylem to the leaf xylem via stem xylem with the help of very important and most widely accepted the model, that is cohesion, tension, transpiration model. So with the help of this model, we will understand this transport in the xylem. Right, students? So let us start the session. And before understanding or before going deep into the lecture, I would request everybody, if you haven't subscribed to Infinity Learn by Sri Chaitanya till now, do consider subscribing to Infinity Learn and do not forget to hit the bell icon so that whenever I will go live in the future, you will also be notified and won't miss any single session in future. So do consider subscribing and hitting the bell icon and do give me a thumbs up. Next. Yeah, so this lecture is also part of our Chak series where we every day give you live lectures related to physics, chemistry, botany, zoology as well as mathematics. Okay, so here is the most important thing that you need to understand before starting the lecture, that what are we going to do in this class. So the topics that I'm going to cover in this lecture are first this theory. Let me change the ink. I think yellow will be good for, yeah. So in this lecture, I will explain you what is this cohesion, tension, transpiration, pull theory. And according to this theory, first of all, I will give you the idea what this theory is. You already have this idea from your previous class. This theory is the most accepted, widely accepted one, and it is given to explain the transport of water and mineral ions or mineral solute in the xylem from root to the leaf via stem. So this is the theory. So first of all, I'll tell you what this theory speaks, right? You already have the idea, it is given for, but let us see what this theory speaks or what this theory stands on, right? And then with the help of the postulates or with the help of the concepts that are given in this theory, we will try to understand. I will make you understand how water will, along with the mineral solutes, will be transported from root to the leaf. Then finally, yeah, so I have covered 1 and 2, both the lecture content. So first I will give you the points that were given in this theory, and then with the help of the points of this theory, we will try to understand ascent of sap. Then on the third part, I will explain you, after understanding the whole concept of how water along with the minerals are transported in xylem up against the gravity, we will try to understand the transpiration process, right? And not to forget students, it is this transpiration process which is creating the transpiration pull, which is the major factor, major force responsible for driving, for transporting or translocating water along with the minerals. So it is very important to understand in detail what this transpiration process is and how stomata helps in transpiration, right? So all the stomata, functioning, structure, etc. and the factors affecting transpiration rate will be discovered here. And finally, I will conclude the lecture with the help of this fourth thing, where I will explain you how A short paragraph is in fact given in your NCERT just after transpiration process, where they compare photosynthesis with the transpiration. It's an interesting paragraph and the lines are little complicated if you do not have a clear-cut idea of photosynthesis, especially the difference in detail about C3 and C4 plant. Although in detail, that will be explained in chapter number 13, but I will help you to understand what the lines of NCERT is saying in that particular paragraph under the topic transpiration and photosynthesis a compromise. So I hope now you will be having a clear idea that what are we going to do in this session. Yes, so let us start with the very first one. So as you can see, my dear students, what are we going to do in this is I will explain you what this cohesion, tension, transpiration, pull theory is. So hello Ankita, good evening, very warm welcome in this class. Just give me a moment, let me have a look on the chat before I start explaining the theory. Let me see who's there in my class. Okay. Good. Okay, now let's start this. So see students, as you can see out, what is the title? The title of the slide is Cohesion, Tension, Transpiration, Pull Theory. It is the most accepted or I can say widely accepted theory to explain ascent of sap. So if you really want to understand how water along with the mineral solutes will be transported from root to the leaf, you need to understand the points of this theory. Only then you will be in a comfortable zone where I can make you understand how water and mineral transport will take place. So let us understand the theory first and then we will switch to the ascent of sap part. So this theory, as you can read out, ascent of sap, please note this thing students, ascent of sap, that means upward movement against the gravity movement of water and mineral ions, is best explained via cohesion, tension, transpiration, pull theory. Now, this is a theory, hence a theory is going to have some postulates, some points in it, right? So this theory actually rests on these three pillars, right? First is the tensile strength of the water, then continuous water column and transpiration pull. So students, please note this upward movement of water along with the solutes is due to these three important things. First is the high tensile strength of water that will help water to rise up, to travel, to translocate against the gravitational pull. Do not forget students, gravity is at all the point when the water along with the solutes is getting transported from the root to the leaf, the water is continuously under strong gravitational force which is pulling it downwards. Now gravity is acting in such a direction that it is pulling the water molecules downward. But it is the transpiration pull which is pulling, it is the transpiration pull, and along with the high tensile strength of the water is getting, it is moving upward against the gravity, right? So these are the three important pillars that we need to discuss in detail on which this whole theory lie or rest on, right? So it is the high tensile strength of the water, then the continuous column of water in the xylem, and the transpiration pull. These are the three important things or factors responsible for ascent of sap. So what is continuous water column and what is transpiration pull? I have already given you a good idea about these two things in the previous lecture. So let us now in detail discuss about what is this high tensile strength of water and exactly what are the properties that a water possesses because of which a high tensile strength is created, right? So the objective of coming few minutes will be to understand how water molecules or the properties possessed by water molecules help them to develop this high tensile strength because of which it can move upward in the xylem against the gravity. So let's see this. Yeah. So see here, my dear students, let us discuss about those physical properties possessed by water because of which water molecules has this high tensile strength. So there are the three properties that I will discuss. One is the cohesion, another is the adhesion, and then the surface tension. These cohesion, adhesion and surface tension are the three physical properties that water molecules possess. Simple. With the help of this diagram also I will explain you. First, I want everybody to listen this very, very clearly and with a lot of attention, right? So what is cohesion? Cohesion means the mutual attraction that is taking place between water molecules. So one water molecule is attracting another water molecule. So this attraction between two water molecules is termed as the cohesion force, right? Similarly, when water molecules are trying to rise up, trying to translocate, trying to travel in trachyary elements like xylem, or I can specifically talk about like vessels and tracheids, right? So whenever water molecules are trying to travel up in vessel or in tracheids, they have attraction, another type of attraction, right, known as adhesion. Adhesion is a type of attraction that is taking place between water molecules and the polar walls of the tracheids and vessels. Yes, students, do not forget water is a polar molecule. It has, on oxygen you can find partial negative charge, and on hydrogen you can find partial positive charge. That makes water a polar molecule, right? So polar is going to attract the another polar surface, right? Hence, one water molecule is having attraction or pulling another water molecules due to an attractive force known as cohesion. Water molecules are also pulled by the surface of the tracheids and vessels in which they are traveling. So attraction force is between water molecules as well as between the water and the walls of the trachyary elements. This is cohesion and adhesion respectively, right? Now, the third physical property of the water is the surface tension. And it is said that, students, the attraction, right? The attraction, or one water molecules attracts another water molecules more when they are in liquid phase in comparison to the gaseous phase. That means one water molecules will pull another water molecules due to attraction higher when they are in liquid phase instead of a gaseous phase. So it is the cohesion, the adhesion and surface tension of the water molecules. These are the three important physical properties of the water molecules because of which high tensile strength of water is developed. So high tensile strength in the water is because of these three important essential properties: cohesion, adhesion and surface tension. And with the help of this beautiful diagram, I can explain you, students, this is a tree, right? And this is the stem portion. And I have what done? I have zoomed this session. Oh, sorry, zoomed this section. So it has been zoomed to a very high level, so that you can see what exactly is taking place inside the stem of this particular tree. So my dear students, if you notice, what will happen in a tree? A tree will have xylem, right? A tree will have, or the stem will have the stem xylem. So inside stem xylem, you will find the trachyary elements, the vessels, the tracheids, etc. And in these vessels and tracheids, what is going to flow? Water, right? So see, what is this you can see in this box? I repeat myself, students, please pay attention. Hello Mohit, how are you? I will really appreciate if you will participate in the session as well. So see, my dear students, as you can see here, what I have done is I have zoomed this section, right? And in this section, what you can see is how water molecules are moving in the xylem cells. So if you notice, students, see here. Now even inside this portion, inside xylem also some section has been zoomed out. Again, this is also a zoomed out section, right? So it is trying to, or I'm trying to show you how exactly water molecules are attracted, or showing what kind of attraction when they are traveling in the trachyary elements. So listen this very, very clearly, students. So see, this section of the xylem cells has been zoomed out, and if you notice here, one water molecule is attracted to another water molecule with the help of cohesion, right? And this cohesion can be due to hydrogen bonding. This is so obvious, right? You all know this via from your chemistry knowledge, right? I think this portion must not be visible because of my image, right? Video. So I can tell you, students, here what I am trying to explain is this water molecule is also attracted to the walls. Now this particular water molecule will be attracted to the walls of the trachyary elements as well, with the help of another type of force known as adhesion. Right? So what am I doing? I am trying to show you, I am trying to help you in building your imagination, and I'm trying to help you to see how this cohesion and adhesion forces are taking place, or how this cohesion and adhesion forces are helping water molecules to move up. So you can see in the zoomed out section of a trachyary element or a xylem cell, where one water molecule is attracting or pulling another water molecule with the help of cohesion force, and one water molecule is pulled not only by another water molecule through cohesion, but one water molecule is also pulled with the help of the adhesion force, that is acting between the polar walls of the xylem cells and the water molecules. So this adhesion and cohesion forces are helping the water molecules to get pulled up against the gravity, and this water is actually in liquid phase, which is giving more strength to adhesion and cohesion forces, right? If this water have been in a vapor phase, the cohesion and adhesion forces might not be that strong. So being in liquid phase, the adhesion and cohesion forces which are helping the water molecules to get pulled up against the gravity is actually greater in number, right? So surface tension is adding the value. Next, students, so yeah, so this is exactly what I was explaining you, and you can read out on the slide as well that it is the adhesion, cohesion and surface tension, these three physical properties of water, cohesion, adhesion and surface tension, is giving high tensile strength. It is giving the high tensile strength to the water molecules. Now you must be thinking, what is the function, or how this high tensile strength of water will help in ascent of sap, or moving water molecules along with the solute, right, up a plant. Now listen this, students, this high tensile strength of the water helps the water to pull, right, to pull upwards, right? And this high tensile strength of water helps the water molecules to overcome the gravitational pull. Do not forget, students, these water molecules, these water molecules are under two forces, right? They are naturally under gravity, which is pulling the water downwards, and it is because of this cohesion, adhesion, right, and surface tension. So these three forces will help and develop a high tensile strength. I repeat myself, students, because of the cohesion, adhesion and surface tension, a high tensile strength will be developed in the water molecules, and this high tensile strength of the water molecules will help these water molecules to overcome this force of gravity, right? And once the gravitational force is overcome, water molecules are free to move up, right, from root to the leaf xylem via stem xylem. Next, this cohesion, adhesion and surface tension also helps in giving high capillarity, that means ability to rise up in the thin tubes, right? Specifically talking about the surface tension, students. So surface tension actually helps in high capillarity, that means helping or providing the ability to these water molecules to rise up against the gravity, or to rise up by overcoming the gravitational pull in the thin tubes. And remember students, the tracheids and vessels have a very thin or very small, I should say, the tracheids, the trachary elements have a very small and a narrow diameter, and presence of such narrow diameter actually helps, I repeat myself students, it actually helps the water molecules to rise up, right? The water molecules to rise up in the trachary elements, right? So this adhesion, cohesion, surface tension, high capillarity of the water, all are responsible for overcoming the gravitational pull and finally transporting water molecules up from root to the leaf. Is this clear, my kids? Do let me know in the chat box. Is this clear? Tell me, my dear kids, is this much clear? I would love to move forward then. Let me know, is this much clear? Okay, so just in case if there is any doubt, do let me know. Thank you, Ankita, for letting me know. So next thing, remember Ankita, Mohit and all my other students. So what I told you, the cohesion, tension, right, transpiration pull theory, which explains ascent of sap, rests on three pillars. One is the high tensile strength of water. Another is the that I have already discussed what it is, how it is produced, and how it will be helpful. So all this we have discussed. The another pillar that we need to discuss is the continuous water column. So continuous water column is also very, very important in order to transport water up from root to the leaf, and such continuous water column is contributed by root pressure. You remember, root pressure at max, it is not one of the major force responsible for ascent of sap, but at max the greater contribution the root pressure do is it re-establishes the continuous stream of the water, which might break due to the great tension that will be developed. So remember students, as the water molecules are going to transpire, as the water molecules are going to be lost from the surface of the leaf, there will be tension created in the leaf, and such tension will be transported from leaf to the stem and to the root. And because of such high tension, the water column, the continuous water column might break out. And here comes the role or importance of the root pressure that actually helps in maintaining or re-establishing that continuous stream of the water, which is must needed in order to transport water continuously, right, from root to the leaf. So you can see there's a continuous, I need to change the ink. So there is a continuous stream of water from root to the stem, finally to the leaf, and finally here the water is going to be lost, right? So this continuous stream of the water is transported or is contributed by root pressure. Please remember this point. Next thing that we need to discuss is the third pillar. My dear student, this is the third pillar. Remember the two pillar, the high tensile strength of the water and continuous stream of the water column, already I have discussed. This is the third pillar of the cohesion, tension, transpiration pull theory. And then we will be in a comfortable zone to understand ascent of sap. Enormous, yes, Ankita is saying enormous tension. Ankita, are you trying to say that? Please let me know. Okay, my kids, so this is the transpiration pull. So yeah, so much transpiration pull I don't have to discuss here because I've already done the discussion in the previous class also, but I can give you a brief overview, my kids. It is the transpiration process that creates, or it is majorly responsible in transporting water along with the mineral from roots to the leaf. So as you can see also, and as I have written also, it is the force, it is the main force responsible for transporting water up against the gravity. And how this transpiration pull is generated, what is the phenomenon responsible for generating such kind of a transpiration pull? It is the transpiration process. So transpiration process is responsible for creating the transpiration pull, which is the major factor in driving water along with the minerals from root to the leaf. And I have summed out here also, students. So for example, this is a big tree, a huge tree, and I have taken the example of one leaf over here. So I have taken the example of one leaf over here, and you can see the surface of the leaf, right? And from the surface of the leaf, you should know that on the surface of the leaf you have stomatas, right? Stomatas are the pores, right? So water in form of the, okay, one more thing I want to discuss over here. Let me change the ink. Let me show you the more clear picture. So my dear students, if you notice, leaf has what? Leaf has leaf xylem, correct? Okay, I'm trying to make these little water molecules. Yeah, so what does leaf has? Leaf has a leaf xylem. In leaf xylem, water is present. So during daytime, when there is sun outside, when there is high temperature, right? The temperature that is enough to convert liquid water into a water vapor. Remember, temperature is required in order to change the phase of the water molecules from liquid to the vapor. So whenever the required value of the temperature is available in the environment, the water which is present in liquid phase in the leaf xylem will actually change its phase. It will get converted into vapor and will escape from the leaf with the help of a stomata. See, this is a stomata, and from stomata the water molecules will escape in form of vapors. Now, for example, if there were few water molecules over here, and these water molecules, if escapes in the atmosphere in form of vapors, then what will happen? There will be some space will get created, a tension will get created. Remember, because of the loss of the water, tension will be created, or I can also say the water potential will decrease, the free energy of the water will also decrease. I repeat myself, students, whenever water from the surface of the leaf will be, whenever the water from the surface of the leaf will be transported outside in form of vapors, there will be decrease in the number of free water molecules. Hence, there will be decrease in the water potential. There will be creation of a tension in the leaf xylem. So, leaf xylem will try to pull water from the stem xylem to replace those water molecules that have been lost from the surface of the leaf in form of vapors. Right, my dear students? Now, next that you need to understand over here is, now this tension will be from leaf xylem will be transported to the stem xylem. Hence, the water, first of all, the leaf xylem pulled the water from the stem xylem to replace those water molecules. Similarly, the stem xylem will also undergo tension or will develop tension because of the decrease in the water molecules. So similarly, the stem xylem will pull water from the root xylem in order to replace those water molecules which has moved to the side, some site in the leaf xylem, right? So from leaf, the tension was developed because of this transpiration process has now been transported from stem to the root. So similarly, root will give water to the stem xylem, right? Now root xylem also need to replace those lost cells, the root xylem will also need to replace those water molecules that have been moved to the stem xylem, right? So similarly, now this tension from root xylem will be transported to the root hairs, and from root hairs the root xylem will pull water and replace the lost water that have actually moved to the stem xylem somewhere in some site in the leaf or in the stem xylem. Now, if water is going to be withdrawn from the root hair cells, then what root hair cells are going to do? They will do activate, or they will absorb more water. So now you understand, students, because of the transpiration, because of the loss of the water in the leaf, the water is pulled from the stem xylem, then from the root xylem, from the root hairs, and because of which the root hairs are going to absorb more water from the soil solution. So that's how the whole pulling force or whole tension force is helping to pull water from root, or I can say from even the soil solution till the leaf. Are you able to understand? Tell me my kids, कुछ पता चला, कुछ imagine हुआ? अगर imagine नहीं भी हो, just in case you are unable to understand, then hold on for few more minutes. I am going to explain this all and everything that I have spoken right now in the last 4 to 5 minutes. I will explain all this again with the help of flow chart. But before giving you idea or before showing you the flow chart, I wanted everybody to imagine. I wanted everybody to imagine with the help of the words I'm speaking, so that you can have some kind of imagination of your own. And then when I'm going to show you the flow chart, your imagination and the flow chart information will somehow be in some sync, and that will help you to understand, yes, now you are in a comfortable zone where you can understand how ascent of sap takes place with the help of cohesion, tension, transpiration, pull model. So how about Ankita and Rohit letting me know, is this much clear? Is this much clear? Do let me know, students. And meanwhile, I can have a water break, right, my kids? Please let me know. I'm waiting for your response. Okay, then I would like to move ahead. So my dear students, till now what have been done, right? So let me tell you, till now I have explained you in much detail about the cohesion, tension, transpiration, pull theory. I have also explained you the three pillars on which this theory rests on, that is high tensile strength, continuous water column, and transpiration pull. So in order to understand ascent of sap, you should have a clear idea about what these things are and how they help in ascent of sap. Now you are ready. Now you are in a comfortable zone where you can understand how this ascent of sap will take place. So now I will teach you ascent of sap, that means transport of water along with the mineral solute from root to the stem, to the leaf finally. Hello Ariman, very good evening in the class. You have joined at a perfect time. So now pay attention Ariman. I am teaching exact ascent of sap. That means how ascent of sap or how water will move up a plant. So that's the whole gist. So whatever I have taught in the last 30 minutes, I am going to give you the gist of it now in the coming 5 minutes. So let us understand this ascent of sap or movement of water up in a plant against the gravity. So I will explain you with the help of this beautiful diagram, this effective one. Hello student study. How about letting me know your real name, student study? Very warm welcome in this class, but do let me know your name as well, dear. Okay, so see students, what will happen first? First, water will be lost due to transpiration. So that's Neha. Hello Neha. So see my kids. Let me change the ink. So notice here, dear students, this is ascent of sap. So the very first thing that will take place is loss of water from the surface of the leaf. Remember, because of the transpiration process. So whenever there is enough temperature outside, the water molecules, I repeat myself, when there is enough temperature or enough value or sufficient value of temperature outside in the environment, the water that is present in the leaf xylem will change its phase. It will convert from liquid to the vapor phase, and with the help of the stomatal openings, they will escape outside in the atmosphere. Because of the loss of the water molecules, what will happen? There will be decrease in the free water molecules. There will be decrease in the free energy. There will be decrease in the water potential, right? So loss of water due to transpiration from leaves, right, will do what? As a result, water will be pulled up from stem to leaf, right? And in stem also, from stem also you can say root, right? So finally, due to loss of water molecules in transpiration process, the water molecules will be pulled up. So since water molecules were lost from directly from the leaf xylem, so leaf xylem will pull water from the stem xylem, stem xylem will pull water from the root xylem, root xylem will pull water from the root hair cells, and root hair cells will take water from the soil solution, right? So this creates a deficit or decrease or deficiency or very low water potential in the leaf cell. How? Because of decrease in free water molecules, right? Decrease in free water molecules will therefore decrease free energy. And you know, my dear students, it is the free energy that defines water potential. Therefore, there will be decrease in water potential as well. So, listen this very carefully, students. I am explaining in much detail about this third step. This third step is saying that due to loss of the water in transpiration process, there will be decrease or there will be low water potential in the leaf cell. Why? Because of the loss of the water molecules, the total free number of water molecules available in the leaf xylem will decrease. As a result, free energy of the water molecule will decrease. As a result, water potential will decrease in the leaf xylem. Now, this decrease or low free energy values or lower water potential will create a tension in the leaf xylem, and this tension from leaf xylem will be transported to the stem xylem, from stem xylem to root xylem, right? So this deficit or tension or pull is communicated to the xylem of the stem. This tension is finally communicated from xylem to the root. Then, now this creates a low water potential in the root hair cells. So see, my dear students, what has been done. Let me repeat this for you, right? Let me repeat this for you. What these steps are trying to explain you. This is the surface of the water, right? Also, this is the surface of the leaf. From this surface of the leaf, there is leaf xylem. In leaf xylem, there is water. So water molecule is escaping into the atmosphere by changing into vapor. So because of the loss of the water in a vapor form, there will be decrease in the free water molecules number in the leaf xylem. There will be decrease in the free energy. There will be decrease in the water potential. Now, in order to replace water molecules in the leaf xylem will pull water from the stem xylem. As a result, there will be decrease in the free water molecules number in the stem xylem, or there will be decrease in the free energy in the stem xylem. There will be decrease in the water potential of the stem xylem, right? That means the tension from leaf has been now transported to the stem xylem. Now, as a result, what the stem xylem will do? This stem xylem will pull water from the root xylem, right? So, as a result, in order to replace the water molecules in the stem that has moved to the leaf xylem. So, now this stem xylem will pull water from the root xylem. So, as a result, what will happen? The available free water molecules in the root xylem will decrease. That means free energy of the water molecules in root xylem will decrease. That means water potential of the water present in the root xylem will decrease. Now, as a result, what will happen? The root xylem will absorb water from the root hair cells, right? So, if root hair cells will lose water or transport water from them to the root xylem, then as a result, what will happen? The total available free water molecules near or in the root hair cells will decrease. As a result, the free energy of the water molecules around the root hair cells will decrease. So, water potential of the water surrounding the root hair cells will decrease. So, listen students, now please try to connect all this decrease in free water molecules, decrease in free energy, decrease in water potential started from the leaf xylem because of the loss of the water in transpiration process. And finally, one after the another, this tension, this loss of water potential or this decrease in water potential from leaf xylem was finally reach to the root hair cells. It started from leaf, then went to the stem xylem, then root xylem, and finally to the root hair cells. So finally, because of the loss of the water from the surface of the leaf in the transpiration process, my dear students, there is creation or there is decrease in the water potential value of the water surrounding the root hair cells. So root hair cells develops a decrease in water potential. Root hair cells develops a decrease in the water potential. And do not forget, my dear students, water has a tendency to move from a region of higher water potential to a region of lower water potential. Water has ability to move from a region of higher water potential to a region of lower potential, right? So whenever, because of this process of transpiration, there has been decrease in the water potential value, there has been decrease in the water potential value in the root hair cells. Hence, water will flow from the soil solution to the root hair cells. That means root hair cells now will do absorption, lot of absorption of the water molecules. Why? So water molecules will easily flow from soil solution to the root hair cells because of this change or decrease in water potential values inside the root hair cells. So now root hair cells will absorb water, will give to root xylem, then to stem xylem, then to leaf xylem. So this is how the ascent of sap will take place. Because of this transpiration pull, this whole thing is getting pulled and the water molecules inside the stem xylem is moving, is traveling against the gravity because of that high tensile strength and high capillarity given by the physical properties of water and surface tension that is helping in the capillarity, right? So this is how ascent of sap take place. So because of the creation of low water potential area in the root hair cells, there will be a passive absorption. So a lot of water is going to be absorbed or taken by the root hair cells passively and will be transported, right? So water column is pulled up through the xylem without breaking, and who is making sure it do not break? The root pressure. So root pressure helps to restore the continuity of the water. So whatever the water the root hair cells is going to absorb will be transported to the root xylem, then to the stem xylem, and then to the leaf xylem. So that's how the whole phenomenon take place. Now I'm going to zoom out, my dear students, on this diagram to show you. Right, I hope it becomes visible for everyone. Let's see. Is it visible, kids? Can anybody tell me? Can anybody tell me? Can you see the diagram? Can you tell me? Yeah. So see here. So as you can read out, what is this? This is what? This is the water potential gradient. What is this, students? This whole is the, yes, thank you Neha for letting me know that. So what is this, my dear students? This is the water potential gradient, and here it is showing that the water potential value is higher in the soil solution and lower in the leaf, and that is what required. Now imagine, students, if the situation have been reversed, the water potential of the water present in the leaf would have been higher and the water potential of the water present in the soil would have been lower, then never ever the water can move from the root to the leaf. In order to move water, what is required? Right now, my dear students, I have explained you, water has a tendency to move from a region of higher water potential to a region of lower water potential. This is the property of the water. It will move from a region which is at higher water potential or which has higher number of free energy, or it has higher number of free water molecules, to a region which is going to have a lower water potential or less number of free water molecules or lower free energy. So if you really want, or if the plant want the water to be transported from the roots to the leaf, so it is very important to decrease the water potential of free energy in the leaf and increase in the root. Only then water can move from root to the leaf, that is from a region of higher water potential to a region of lower water potential. So that's what is taking place, and I have actually zoomed out where you can see this is how transpiration takes place. This is how water is moving or getting removed in form of vapors from the stomata, right? As a result, the water molecules, those are lost in form of vapors, will be replaced by pulling water from the stem xylem. Here in the stem xylem, the water will move up, right? The water will move against the gravity with the help of the adhesion, cohesion, surface tension, all these properties of the water will be pulled up against the gravity, right? And then the water now which has moved from the stem xylem to the leaf xylem will be replaced by pulling water from the root xylem, and finally the root xylem will pull water from the root hair cells, right? So tell me students, is ascent of sap crystal clear or not? Let me know. In case if it is not clear, I would love to explain you in some other way, but for that you got to tell me, my students, is this clear? Tell me students, is ascent of sap clear? Can we move to the next part, my kids? Is ascent of sap clear? Do let me know. Is ascent of sap clear? Thank you, Rohit, for letting me know that. Okay, then now we are good. So we have till now, my dear students, we have covered the very two contents, right, that I have explained to you, or I gave you the idea that first we will talk about the cohesion, tension, transpiration, pull model that I have already explained. Thank you, Neha, for letting me know that. How about Ankita also letting me know that, as well as Ariman? So I have explained you this whole model and the pillars on which it rests in detail, and then I have also explained you the entire ascent of sap. Now the time has come, my dear students, to study about this very important process known as transpiration. So this is not a very new thing for you. You have been studying from your lower classes, like from 9th or 10th, or maybe even from 8th or 6th standards, right? So you have this idea what transpiration is. So what I am going to do is I'm just going to provide you the definition, but here in this class we will discuss in detail about the structure of stomata and how the structure helps in opening and closing of the stomata in much greater detail. So as you can read out, students, I can explain you the transpiration definition over here, right? So what is a transpiration process? It's a phenomenon, or it's a process where water will be lost from the aerial parts of the plant, mostly from the surface of the leaf through structures or apparatus known as stomata. Singular is stoma and plural is stomata. So many stoma makes stomata. One is stoma, singular term is stoma, right? So in a transpiration process, what will happen, my dear students? The water will be lost. The water molecules will be lost in form of vapor through the openings, right, present on the aerial parts of the plant, and mostly the water is transpired from the surface of the leaf because there only more number of stomata are present. Now one very important thing that you need to understand over here is, students, please note this is a very important fact and can be asked in your NEET examination, that whatever amount of water reaches from root to the leaves, I repeat myself, students, whatever water molecules, the amount of the water molecules that reaches from root to the leaf surface, less than 1%, yes students, less than 1% of the water molecules that reaches to the leaf surface will be used in photosynthesis and in growth. I repeat myself, less than 1% of the water molecules reaching the leaf surface will be used in photosynthesis or in plant growth. That means more than 99% will be lost, will be transpired. Yeah, please remember this fact. Next, now let us talk in little detail about this whole stomatal apparatus, right? First, I will tell you what stomata is, and then we will dive into the details of what a stomatal apparatus look like. So what is a stomata? They are tiny pores. They are tiny pores in the plant organs like leaves, petioles, young stems, etc. Very important. What is the function? What is the function of the stomata? The one function you have already understood, the transpiration, loss of water in form of vapor. Another important function that a stomata do is the exchange, gaseous exchange, exchanging oxygen and CO2. Very, very important. So notice students, during daytime in plants, what happens? Photosynthesis happen, and for photosynthesis to take place, CO2 need to be taken inside the plant body, right? And you do not forget, the leaf is the one, the primary organ, the leaf is the one on which stomata are present, and leaf is the primary organ which is responsible for photosynthesis as well. So it is the stomata that opens up and absorbs the CO2 from the atmosphere, and this CO2 that has been absorbed by the stomata will be used in the photosynthesis process. Now, after the completion of the photosynthesis process, there will be production of sugars and oxygen molecule, and this oxygen molecules will be released out with the help of the stomata from plant to the external environment. Hence, the stomata is helping in exchange of O2 and CO2 along with the transpiration process. Right, my kids? I hope this much is clear, and you can see in the diagram as well. So from a stomata, what is going to get inside? CO2 will get inside, and what will get out? I mean, the water in form of vapor as well as the O2 that has been produced as a byproduct in photosynthesis process, right? Okay, my kids. One very important test you need to understand, and also given in your NCERT students, cobalt chloride paper test. So it is a test. It is done to check whether transpiration process is taking place from the surface of the leaf or not. I repeat myself, students, this particular test, this particular test has been or will be used or will be done in order to test whether a particular surface of the leaf is transpiring or not. Yeah, correct, Neha. So what will happen? A dry cobalt chloride paper will be put on this surface of the leaf, and if at all this leaf is transpiring, then the water in form of vapors will come out, and when this cobalt chloride paper come in contact with the water, it will change into pink color. So if the cobalt chloride paper, the dry cobalt chloride paper changes into pink, it gives the indication, yes, this particular leaf is transpiring. Right? I hope this is very simple and must be clear. Okay. So next is, let us talk about the stomatal apparatus. So this is how a stomatal apparatus look like. It has the very important guard cells. These are the two kidney shaped guard cells that you can see in dicot. In monocot they will be tumble shaped. So these are the very important and main cells, the guard cells that actually helps in opening and closing of the stoma. Right, so these are the two guard cells, and in guard cells the cell walls, please notice students, the cell wall of these guard cells, I repeat myself students, the cell walls of these guard cells will have microfibrils in them, and these microfibrils will be arranged or oriented in a particular fashion, and that is radial instead of being longitudinal. And because of this radial arrangement of the microfibrils in these guard cells, this arrangement, this particular orientation of the microfibrils actually helps the guard cells to open up efficiently, right? So orientation is very important. I will talk in much detail in the coming few minutes. So please notice this point, students. Guard cell, very important, and they have microfibrils in their cell wall. Another important thing is these guard cells will be surrounded by some accessory cells known as subsidiary cells, and this is the stomatal aperture that will open up and water will escape or gaseous exchange will take place. So subsidiary cells, guard cells and stomatal apparatus actually makes up that entire stomatal apparatus. Next. Yeah, so as I was talking you, so please note students, stomatal apparatus means all these things, right? So do not forget, this is not a separate thing. Microfibrils is not a separate thing. Microfibrils are actually present or microfibrils are radially oriented in the cells of the guard cell or in the cell wall of the guard cell. I repeat myself, students. Subsidiary cell, guard cell and stomatal aperture actually makes the stomatal apparatus, and microfibrils are not present separately. They are actually incorporated within the cell wall of the guard cells where they are radially oriented. Right, my kids, as I was talking about, the guard cells can be kidney shaped in dicots, and yes, you can see they are kidney shaped in dicots, as well as they can be dumbbell shaped like this, right, in a monocot, many of the monocots. So you can remember this is an important fact. Also I explained you in also you might have studied in anatomy of the leaves, monocot and dicot. Now let us talk about some important characteristics of the guard cells. First of all, we are talking about guard cells, right? They are epidermal cells. So guard cells are specialized epidermal cells. Not to forget, students, on a leaf, the outermost layer is the epidermis. So if you remember from your anatomy knowledge, the anatomy of the leaf says the leaf has the dermal tissues, it has the ground tissues, and then it has the vascular tissues. So in a leaf, the dermal tissue are represented by a epidermis, then ground tissue are represented by the mesophyll cells, specialized in photosynthesis, and then they have the vascular tissue, that means the xylem and phloem, right? So guard cells are guard cells are specialized epidermal cells of the leaf, right, present on their surface, definitely. Next, they respond to the turgor changes, right? So as soon as water enter inside the guard cells, they swell up and they move outwards. So these turgor changes, that means changes in the amount of the water that is present in the guard cell, is going to affect its activity a lot. So as soon as the guard cells absorb water, or as soon as the water rushes into the guard cells, they swell up. Like this, they move outside or outward. This is also helped or aided because of the radial arrangement of the microfilaments, right? Next, these guard cells are quite thick and elastic inner side in comparison to the outer side. So as you can see in the diagram also, my kids, the inner wall of the guard cell is quite thick. It is elastic. And the outer wall is thin. So in comparison to outer wall, the inner wall of the guard cell is thick and elastic. Next, there is a presence of large vacuoles and chloroplast. Yes, my dear students, you can see that in guard cells you can find vacuoles as well as these chloroplast. That means the guard cells can do photosynthesis as well. Next, yeah, I was talking to you about that, right? So see, students, in this particular figure, this is a beautiful and a very effective figure, students, and you can see how beautifully, and also you can understand how these microfilaments are these microfibrils are beautifully radially arranged within the cell wall of the guard cell. So see this, my kids, what is this? This is the radial arrangement of microfibril. Radial arrangement of the microfibrils. This is the radial arrangement of the microfibrils, right? So this radial arrangement of the microfibrils helps the guard cells to open up. Very, very important, right? So I hope whatever is written on this slide is quite easy for you, or let me read out also just in case. Yeah, right, Rohit. Next, the opening of the stoma is aided due to the orientation of the microfibrils in the cell wall of the guard cells. These are NCRT lines, and cellulogic microfibrils are oriented radially rather than longitudinally, make it easier for the stoma to open. So if these microfibrils would have been arranged longitudinally, stoma or these guard cells would not be able to open up that efficiently, right? So this radial orientation of microfibrils helps the guard cells to open up efficiently so that transpiration and gaseous exchange can takes place. Yeah, now the time has come, my dear students, to talk about the activity of stomata. So normally, generally, the stomata are open on daytime and they are closed in the night. Next, the immediate opening and closing of the stomata is due to the changes in the turgidity of the guard cells. So, as soon as guard cells will receive water, they will swell up and move outside. The aperture will get exposed. They will transpiration of water can take place or exchange of gases can take place. As soon as the guard cell will lose water, what will happen? The stomatal aperture will actually close and nothing can take place. So this is the situation. See here what is happening here. Here water is there, or here the guard cells, I can write here the guard cells are turgid. I repeat myself, students, in this diagram of stomata or stoma, that means singular stomata, in this figure, you can see the guard cells are turgid. That means because of the movement of water molecules from the surrounding cells, inside the guard cells, what will happen? The guard cell will become turgid, and because of the absorbing this much amount of water from the surrounding cells, the guard cells will swell up, and because of the radial arrangement of the microfibrils also, that will help the turgid guard cells to move outwards. As a result, what will happen? The stomatal aperture will get exposed. The stomatal aperture will get exposed and water can be transpired and gaseous exchange can take place. Similarly, when water from the guard cells move out, right? Water from the guard cells move from guard cells to the surrounding cells. What will happen? The turgidity will decrease of the guard cells. The guard cells will become flaccid, and as a result, they will close. As a result, due to the loss of the water, due to the loss of the turgidity in guard cell, they will close the stomatal aperture. As a result, transpiration or gaseous exchange won't take place. So this is how stomatal opening, and closing take place. Right, my kids? Next that we need to discuss over here is what? Yeah, so that's exactly what I was explaining, and now I have explained. So first of all, on the previous slide, if you notice, students, I was explaining you with the help of words, right? So that you can build some imagination of your own. Now whatever I explained you about how stomata will open or close, I have explained, or I have represented it in a flowchart, right? That will help you to retain the information for a longer period of time. So let us see how stoma is open. Stoma is the singular of stomata. So first of all, what will happen? Water will enter into the guard cells from the surrounding cell. As a result, turgidity of the guard cells will increase. As a result, the outer thin and the inner thick walls are forced into a crescent shape like this. This is what, my dear students, this is in fact the crescent shape. So because of this crescent shape of the guard cells that has been developed because of the increase in turgidity of the guard cells, what will happen? The stomatal aperture will get exposed. The stoma is pulled outwards. And the pore opens. The stomata opens. And now let's see how closing of stoma take place. First of all, water will be lost. From the guard cells. That will be decrease in the turgidity. That water will be lost from guard cells and move to the surrounding cells. As a result, there will be decrease in the water or turgidity of the guard cells, right? The elastic cell wall regains their original shape. So initially, when turgidity inside guard cell increased, the walls of the guard cells become crescent shape, right? So whenever the water will be lost, guard cells will regain its normal shape, and as a result, the stoma, right, will get closed. So elastic inner wall regains their original shape like this, right? So no more crescent shape now, and guard cells become flaccid because of the loss of the water, and stoma closes. That means now the stomatal aperture won't be exposed. Yep, so that's what I wanted to explain, how stomata opens or stoma opens and closes. Now let us talk about some important factors also given in your NCRT that affects the rate of transpiration. We want to talk about the factors that affects the rate of transpiration. Let me take a water break before I start explaining. Is there any doubt till now, students? Please feel free to ask. I really appreciate doubts. Yeah. So the physical factors, the factors or the environmental factors, right? The external factor, physical factor, or the class timing. The class will close in next 15 minutes, I guess. Right? Is there any doubt, Neha? Okay, so physical factor, external factors or environmental factors that affects the rate of transpiration. First is the light. So let's discuss in little detail. So when there be presence of light, I explained to students that stomata will opens in light and closes in dark, right? Hello Santosh, very warm welcome in this session. So what I was saying, students, in when I was explaining about the characteristics, no doubt, thank you very much, Neha. So when I was explaining you about stomata, I gave you one important fact that stomata opens, or about when I was explaining you about the activity, to be precise, of the stomata, I was telling you that stomata opens in light and closes in night. So light or presence of light really affects the activity of the stomata. So if there will be presence of light, stomata will open and transpiration will take place. If there is no light, stomata will be closed, transpiration will not take place. So presence of light is very much important for transpiration to take place, right? Next is relative humidity, right, students? So if the air surrounding the leaf from which the transpiration takes place, so the air surrounding the leaf surface area is going to be saturated with a lot of vapors, then the rate of transpiration will decrease, because the vapors that have been produced through the transpiration process won't be able to travel away from the surface of the leaf, and as a result, what will happen? More and more water molecules won't be able to convert into vapor, right? So the air that is surrounding the surface of the leaf should have low humidity, should not be saturated with the vapors, and if the air is around the leaf surface is drier, then the rate of transpiration will be higher, because such a dry air will going to absorb lot of moisture. So the more the air is going to absorb moisture, the more water will convert into vapor, and more will be the rate of transpiration. Next is temperature. Yeah, my kids, this is very important. Until and unless there is sufficient temperature present in the environment, water cannot change its phase from liquid to vapor. So temperature is very important. If there will be low temperature, water molecules won't change into vapor, and hence the rate of transpiration will decrease. Wind, very important. Wind actually helps to remove the water vapors from the surrounding of the leaf. So if there is a high wind, or if the environment or the air is quite windy, what will happen? The amount of the vapors that have been created or have been released from the surface of the leaf will be easily and at a greater speed removed from the vicinity of the leaf, and as a result, the more with a higher speed the vapors are removed from the vicinity of the leaf, more and more water molecules will change from water or liquid to the vapor phase, and the rate of transpiration will increase. Available soil water, yes. If there is no water, or if there is low water in the soil, the plant will absorb low water, and hence less of the water will be transpired. So yes, availability of the soil water is very important. If water won't be there or sufficient water won't be there in the soil, obviously the less water will be absorbed and less will be transpired. So these are the important environmental factors that affect the rate of transpiration. Now my kids, let us talk about the biological or internal factors that are responsible for affecting the rate of transpiration. It can be number and distribution of stomata. How many number of stomata are present on the leaf surface? How they are distributed? They are much on the upper surface and low on the lower surface, or lower on the upper and higher on the lower. So how the stomata is present, the number or distribution will affect the rate of transpiration. Again, whatever amount of the stomata are present on the leaf, out of them how many of them are open is also important, because if there is just presence of stomata is not enough, the opening of the stomata is also important, or open number of stomata are also important, or the one that is actually going to do the transpiration. So the number of the stomata that are actually open will determine the rate of transpiration. Next, again, the water status of the plant and the canopy structure will also help in determining the rate of transpiration. Right, my kids? I hope this much is clear to all of you. Just in case not, do let me in the chat box. So these are the few advantages of transpiration also given in your NCERT. Let me give you a quick go through it. So transpiration, why transpiration is important, what are the advantages? Very important advantage, it creates a transpiration pool, and without this transpiration pool, ascent of sap cannot take place. Next, it supplies water for the photosynthesis. Yes, photosynthesis also require water. Water, CO2, right? Water and CO2 are one of the important ingredients or important substances needed for photosynthesis to start along with the light energy. So until and unless water travels up, until and unless because of this transpiration pool, water travels from the root xylem to the leaf xylem, water cannot be available to the leaf for photosynthesis to take place. This transpiration process actually creates a transpiration pool, because of which water is ascent of water is pulled from the roots to the leaf, but along with the water, minerals will also get transported. So parts of the plant will get minerals along with the water because of this transpiration pool, which is creating the because of this transpiration process, which is creating this transpiration pool, because of which ascent of sap is taking place. Now, another important example, it cools the leaf surface sometimes 10 to 15 degrees by evaporating cooling, and also it maintains the shape and structure of the plant by keeping the cells turgid. Right, my kids? Now we have come to the end of this session, where, as I promised, I will discuss about you have more patience than our bio teacher. Thank you very much, Rohit, for letting me know that. Yes, we need to have patience, otherwise how can we deal with your doubts and problems? We got to have that. Thank you for telling me that. Next that we need to talk about is students' transpiration and photosynthesis, a compromise. It is a very, very important topic that has been introduced or that has been discussed in your NCERT in chapter number 11, that is transport in plants. So let us understand, and even if you are not clear with the fundamentals of photosynthesis chapter, it becomes little difficult for you to understand what NCERT has written. So what I'm going to do in the next 5 to 10 minutes, I will explain you each and every line. I am going to explain you each and every line of NCERT that has been discussed under this para. So after taking my class, I can guarantee you, and I also request students, after taking this class, I request you all, do read out each and every line and paragraph of NCERT of the text I have covered in this class. That means you got to study about ascent of sap, or you can directly start with the transpiration process. So under this heading of transpiration, the entire transpiration process, transpiration pull, the adhesion cohesion, high tensile strength, high capillarity, all these terms that I have discussed is given under transpiration topic, right? So it's my kind request, after this class, do check out the text of NCERT and do read each and every word given or mentioned under the topic transpiration and under the topic transpiration and photosynthesis, right? So I request you, do give NCERT reading, only then you will understand, or you will come to know how much you understood from this lecture, right? So reading NCERT is a must, and not to forget students, even this time in NEET 2021, more than 95% came directly from NCERT, and NTA did not even change a single word. So reading NCERT is a must even after attending the regular classes, as I told you in one of my strategy video where I was talking about the 5 simple or easy steps to get 360 out of 360 in biology, right? Chaliye, let us do this topic, and here are these are the all important lines. I have not created these lines. These lines are directly from NCERT, and I want you to make you understand what these lines say. So the very first line given in NCERT is, an actively photosynthesizing plant has an insatiable need for water. That simply means, students, if a plant is actively involved or continuously producing sugars, right, continuously doing photosynthesis process, then it will have unsatisfied need for water. That doesn't mean that once and all you give 100 liters water to a plant, and then finally you do not have to provide any single drop of water at the later stage of the point in a life of a plant. So this does not happens like this, students. What is your name, teacher? Okay, so Santosh is asking, my name, dear Santosh, my name is Kiran Choudhary and I am your botany faculty at Infinity Learn by Sri Chaitanya. My name is Kiran Choudhary. Let me write it for you. My name is Kiran Choudhary. Right, Santosh? Okay, so as I was explaining you the first line, so this first line says that the need of the water by a actively photosynthesizing plant can never be satisfied. So it's not like once and all you provide a lot of water to the plant and then you don't have to provide. No, as far as that plant is living, as far as it is doing transpiration, as far as it is doing photosynthesis, water will be required, and that need of water cannot be satisfied. So continuous supply of water will be required. Next, photosynthesis is limited by available water, which can be swiftly depleted by transpiration water. So it is trying to tell you, students, that water it is trying to tell you that the rate of photosynthesis, the rate at which carbon dioxide will be fixed, or the rate at which sugar or carbohydrate molecules will be synthesized in a plant, can get affected by the available water in the soil. If the water in the soil or if the water in the plant is less, the rate of photosynthesis will definitely get affected, and whatever available water is there in the soil, in the surrounding, or in the plant is actually getting lost in form of transpiration process that actually affects the rate of that actually can affect the rate of photosynthesis if continuous supply of the water is not going to be available. So whatever water is there in the surrounding plant will keep on absorbing, and more than 99% will be lost in form of vapor, and less than 1% will be used in plant growth and photosynthesis, right? So if you do not supply continuous water every day to the plant, what will happen? At one point of time, due to transpiration, all the water available will be lost, and furthermore required water for photosynthesis won't be available. Hence the need of the water for actively photosynthesizing plant can never be satisfied. So continuous supply of water is important. Next, the third line, the humidity of the rainwater. The humidity of, a slip of tongue. The humidity of the rainforest is largely due to this vast cycling of water from root to the leaf to atmosphere and back to the soil. So the rainforest is actually quite human in nature. There are a lot of trees because it is a rainforest, and their continuous transpiration is taking place. Water in form of vapor is getting lost from the surface of the leaves, reaching to the atmosphere, getting converted into the water, and coming back in form of rain. So this continuous cycle of evaporating, coming back to the soil, and then getting absorbed by the roots of the rainforest trees. The trees that are growing in the rainforest is going to absorb the water that is there in the soil. And that water will reach the leaf surface, to the leaf xylem. There it will be lost in form of vapor. Then that water will reach to the atmosphere, will get converted into water. It will get converted into water. That means they will come back. The water will come back in form of rain. Then will go into the soil. Then soil will then from soil the water will be again absorbed by the roots of the plant. So this whole cycle runs and is responsible for humidity in the rainforest. Is this okay, my dear students? Right, now the next thing that we need to discuss in this class are these two important things. Now before reading out these statements for you, I want you to listen to me very carefully. See students, you must be having a little idea that C4 plants actually got evolved from C3 plants, right? You might not have the clear idea about the concepts what C3 and C4 is, but at least this much idea you must be having. And if you do not have, then listen to me right now very clearly, that C4 plants actually evolved from the C3 plants, and C4 plants are quite more efficient in fixing the carbon dioxide. Right, so listen this very carefully students. So when it comes to C4 plants are approximately twice as efficient in fixing the carbon dioxide or available carbon dioxide in the atmosphere in comparison to the C3 plant, and it uses half the amount of the water that has been or that can be used by a C3 plant in order to fix the same number of CO2. How to understand this line? So for example, this is a C3 plant and this is a C4 plant. Let me draw this again. So if this is a C3 plant and this is a C4 plant, now this C3 is fixing 6 CO2 molecules to produce a glucose molecule. 6 CO2 molecules are required to produce one glucose molecule. Now, in order to fix this 6 CO2 molecules, it uses some X amount of water. In order to take the 6 CO2 molecules, in order to produce one molecule of glucose through these 6 CO2 molecules, the C3 plant is going to use some X amount of water. Now, in order to fix the same 6 CO2 molecule, the C4 plant will use X by 2 amount of water. Right? So this is how a C4 plant efficiently uses water as well as CO2. So do not forget students, the current availability of the CO2 molecules is limiting for the C3 plant but not for the C4 plant. I repeat myself, these points are given in your photosynthesis chapter where factors affecting photosynthetic rate has been asked. So this part of this chapter number 11, transport in plant, this topic is actually connected with the factors affecting photosynthesis rate in chapter number 13. So this is how beautifully NCERT has connected chapter number 13 to chapter number 11. Just in case you are still not clear, I request you to give a reading to those factors affecting photosynthesis process, just in case you are still not in a comfortable zone in understanding all these lines under this topic. Transpiration and photosynthesis is a compromise, although I'm trying my level best to explain you here, right? So what I'm trying to say is students, the current availability of the CO2 is limiting for the C3 plant but not for the C4 plant. Why? Because C4 plant have a special mechanism in which they utilize the available CO2 concentration in the atmosphere very judicially. They have a mechanism due to which they increases the concentration of CO2 molecules around the cell, which is responsible for doing the photosynthesis or responsible for conducting the dark reactions where the food or the glucose molecules or carbohydrate sugars will be synthesized. So C4 plants are more efficient. C4 plants are better in comparison to C3 plants. Why? Because they have a mechanism to increase the internal CO2 concentration around the cells which are responsible for producing the sugar. And secondly, they uses less, approximately half amount of water in order to fix the same number of CO2 molecules that can be fixed by a C3 molecule by taking just the double amount of water. So that's the important thing that you need to understand. Now let me read out the line for you. C4 plants are twice as efficient as C3 plant in terms of fixing carbon dioxide, that means producing sugars. So C4 plants are twice as efficient as C3 plants fixing carbon dioxide producing sugars, but lose only a half as much as water as C3 plants for the same amount of carbon dioxide fixed. Next, evolution of C4 mechanism. So why C4 metabolism have been developed or evolved. So here are the two important reasons, students, because of which C4 metabolism or C4 plants got evolved from C3 in order to maximize the CO2 that is available in the environment, in order to minimize the water loss. I repeat myself, students, here the NCERT is trying to say that from C3 plants, the C4 plants evolved, or the C4 metabolism evolved because of the two things. First, in order to maximize, in order to judiciously use, at max use whatever the CO2 concentration is available in the environment, and secondly, in order to minimize the water loss. And as you can see, the amount of the water required to fix the same CO2 molecules is actually half in number when a C4 plant fixes the CO2 molecules. So that's the advantage of C4 plant or C4 mechanism over the C3 plants, and that's exactly what the NCERT is trying to explain in this topic under transpiration and photosynthesis, a compromise. And please understand, students, until and unless I am going to conclude this session with this very important line. Listen this very carefully, students. Until and unless transpiration takes place, photosynthesis won't be able to take place, because it is the transpiration process. I repeat myself, students, it is the transpiration process that is creating a transpiration pull, that is responsible for pulling the water from roots to the leaf. And until and unless the water reaches to the leaf, it cannot be utilized in the photosynthesis process. Although more than 99 will be lost in form of vapor, but the transpiration need to take place in order to pull the water from the root to the leaf against the gravity, so that this water can reach to the leaf cells, so that it can be utilized in the photosynthesis process and the plant growth. Hence, transpiration and photosynthesis is a compromise. It need to be done. Until and unless transpiration take place, water cannot be transported to the leaf against gravity in order to be utilized in photosynthesis, right? I hope, students, this much is clear to all of you, and that's all I wanted to explain in this session. Thank you very, very much for joining this class, students. Do subscribe to Infinity Learn if you haven't done till now, and do consider hitting the bell icon so that every time I will go live, you will also be notified and won't miss a single session in future. Also, give me a thumbs up, do comment, and do share this important video with your friends as well, so that other students will also be benefited, right? So that's all from this class. Thank you very, very much, my kids. We will soon meet again with another topic in the same chapter. So that's all from this class. Thank you very, very much.